just got done replacing the starter on this car, as you know. Now we're going to do some more stuff. We're going to replace the thermostat and this upper radiator hose. So here I've got the new thermostat, the new upper rad hose, and the new thermostat gasket. I'll show you how much everything was. I did get a plate frame for my other car, so 15 bucks for the hose and 10 bucks for the gasket, or excuse me, 10 bucks for the thermostat. The gasket was like $2 and I couldn't get it from AutoZone. I had to go to Napa because they didn't have it. So I'll show you why tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing. The upper radiator hose is sort of bulging right here. Just a little. It's not too bad, but it's enough to make me just want to go ahead and replace the hose. It looks like actually maybe this was clamped in a different spot once upon a time, so there's a little groove right here. Maybe that's why it sort of appears to be bulging. Not really sure. The other side doesn't really look like it's bulging, but I gotta take this off to be able to show that to you. And then of course, thermostat. Don't let people try to sell you one of those universal gaskets because they never fit. If you have had a universal gasket fit, then you are the 1%. This is the upper radiator hose, of course, and it goes into this thing. There's going to be 2 bolts to take it off, and you can already see the other gasket sitting right here. The reason we're replacing all this is because I've had several little problems with this van now and its cooling system. One of the things I had happen was the heater went out, so I added a bunch of coolant to it. Took almost a whole jug of coolant, the special G5 coolant that these things take. Fixed the heater problem, but now every once in a while the temperature gauge will spike and then come flying right back down again. So I have a feeling that either the thermostat's messed up or maybe there's some sort of clogging going on in the cooling system. So first thing we're going to do so that we've got easy access to the upper rad hose where it goes onto the radiator is take off this little thing and undo these little Phillips screws, and it gets this plastic cover off, and so you can actually see where the hose is connecting to the radiator. That'll be step 1 basically here. Of course, none of this is needed if all you're doing is changing the gasket. I don't really want to undo more than that. I'm gonna have to. Alright, well here's the thing. To really get to it easy, I'm gonna take this white thing off. We're actually gonna take all the screws off. These are not going anywhere. Alright, so we're gonna take off this whole thing because it turns out to get good access to the upper radiator hose. So it turns out to actually get this whole thing easy access to the upper rad hose, we're going to take off all the little black bolts. We're going to remove this silly black cover, which really serves not much of any purpose other than holding that. So that we can take off this big white beam, because this big white beam goes right over the top of this rad hose so that you can have better access to it.
It's not that hard.
Doesn't really take much time. Alright, so now we can take this up and off, and we're going to leave this connected to the thing that latches the hood down and just sit it here on the ground. Now as you can see, super easy access to the upper radiator hose, namely these little clamps that we're going to take off. So next step is we'll take off this hose. Alright, first thing you want to know is this is going to leave a little bit of a mess, so bring my package back. I'm going to cut this little bottle. We're going to use it as a little catch for the coolant, because when I take these hoses off, it's probably going to drain out a little bit. I'm going to undo this too to relieve any pressure, let it flow better, and just help me out here. Don't do this when the engine is hot, of course. Alright. Closest thing I got to what I need to take these off is vice grips. There we go. Nice and loosey-goosey. I'm gonna get coolant everywhere, guys, so don't think that this is gonna work very good, because it's probably not gonna. I'm gonna actually just try to pull this off, point it up, and then stick this little plastic thing underneath the thermostat housing thing here. Oh, it's gonna make a mess. There we go, look at that. Little tiny mess. I caught every drop of it, so disconnect my vice grips. And there you have it. This is off of here now. Pretty easy, right? Let it sit there and think about what it's done.
Clever.
Put it right back in there.
Used to be able. Not bad.
Just a little bit came out.
Looks like hard cider or something.
Gross. So here's the old hose. Now you can really see how kind of bulgy this part looks here.
Yeah.
It's skinny here, bulges out. That's a sign of, you know, eventually breaking down and having a little coolant leak. Now we're gonna go after this thermostat, which I think is 13 millimeter. Hey, before I start, I'll show you the new thermostat.
That's a thermostat.
It's a thermostat. Yeah, like one of my... So that just make sure you see which way this is sitting in there right now when you take this out, because this one's got to go the same direction.
I had totally forgotten about that till just now.
It's a thermostat.
It's a thermostat.
It's like a 13, so this is probably going to result in a little more coolant leakage, and it's right above the exhaust thing here, so it's gonna make it smell a little coolanty maybe. Oh, see, we got some leaking. Alright, we'll just stick that there. And this thing, if you had like a 13 millimeter socket, it'd probably be a little better deal than what I'm trying to do right here. There's not a lot of room. Does that actually help? Yeah, it does kind of help. Alright.
There we go. Yay.
Alright, like I said, make a note of what direction this thermostat's sitting in here, because the next one's got to go back in the same way. And then here's our gasket, which we'll peel off here in a second. This one's all metal and cool. The one I got is felt and cheap. Maybe that's why that was the difference between the $5 one and the... Not the stickiest thing you've ever seen, but holds it there. And we're just gonna go stick it back on here. I forget if this was one way or the other.
It looks like it lined up there.
Yeah.
One side was a little wider.
And we just tighten these up. Basically, we just replaced the thermostat by doing that. Of course, you would just reattach the hose. In my case, I have to replace the hose since it was kind of bulging out. We get our new hose, take off all the garbage on it. It's got this little weird thing on it. Whew. Oh, we gotta get the clamps back on it before I do that. There's a shot of it all back together again. We got the clamps down, the new hose installed, and the 13 millimeter bolts holding down the thermostat. Everything's back to normal. We'll make sure the coolant's level, take it for a drive, and see if it behaves the way it should. Slight oversight. I peeled off a bunch of sealer stuff when I removed the old thermostat from the housing, and I recommend putting more on it, because once I got everything put back together again, before I even started the car, I just filled up the radiator and it started leaking out of the thermostat housing. So I recommend picking up Permatex Gray, or this RTV silicone gasket maker specifically for thermostat housing. Anything like that will work, and then hopefully you won't have a leak before you even get a chance to test this out. Hey everybody, as I'm sitting here editing this video, for one, it's Christmas time now, so it took me forever to get this up. Sorry about that. As I'm sitting here editing the video, I realized I left out a really big part. I've been putting in little text annotations discussing what not to do versus what I did, but I'm going to stick this in the video too so that you know exactly what did go wrong. When I originally did this job, I didn't use any kind of sealer around the thermostat housing, so it leaked. I think I actually put the thermostat housing upside down, so I had to flip that around. So right after I did this job, I went and took it for a drive, and even with the sealer stuff, it was just leaking. So really don't get the felt gasket like I did, which I mentioned during the video in a little text annotation thingy. I had to go to, I forget the name of the auto store now. It was like Shucks or O'Reilly Auto Parts. That's where I went, I think. O'Reilly Auto Parts, they had the right thermostat, which was the same one that I took out. It was actually metal, and it had that blue inner part. That's the one you guys really want. It cost $5, but that one did not leak. I used very little sealer on that one because it was a much better gasket to begin with. Put it all back together again, and no leaks at all. It was done perfect. So spend a little bit of extra money, the $5, to get the proper thermostat housing. Make sure you put the thermostat in the right direction, and take note of which direction the thermostat housing goes back on there with, because it's shaped a little differently on one side, and if you put it upside down, it might cause a leak. At least I think that's part of what happened with the job that I did. Also, the reason I did this was fixed. There's no more heater going out, and there's no more coolant temperature gauge going up, and then slamming back down to cold again. It fixed all the problems that were the reason for doing this job in the first place. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you like it. I do vlogs and car stuff, and I do a whole bunch of stuff with this channel, so you never know what's going to happen. Thanks for watching.